Alrighty, well here we are out in southwest Missouri. We got Dan Langston with Spring River Ag Supply. We're actually on his personal property. He's been gracious enough to let us come out, do some filming, and what has been a very successful planting of the Heritage blend as well as the Ancestry blend from Stratton Seed. So here we are standing in the middle of it, and with this being on his personal property, there's kind of two different things that we want to discuss today, two benefits from these plantings. First being the benefits from the cattle side of things. A lot of the blends that we've created and helped develop are not only good for wildlife, but also have a multi-use aspect to them, and that's what we're seeing here today on this cattle dominated property. But this is just one way you're utilizing the blends themselves for producing great summer annual blends. The tonnage, the production, the attractiveness, the forage value here is really pretty high, and that's what you've seen over the past couple days. So I'll let you kind of talk about how you plan to utilize this here on this property, not only for the benefit of educational purposes for cattle farmers and producers around the area, but then also its flexibility with the wildlife value too.
Hey everybody, I'm Dan Langston, Spring River Ag Supply. Today we're standing in a field of Stratton Seed Ancestry mix. This is the first time I've seen this mix growing. This is here on my place, and I really wanted to see what this would do in a cattle grazing situation. It's got a lot of legumes. It's got soybeans, cowpeas. It's got some sorghum sudan in there. It's got buckwheat. A lot of things, a lot of variation in that mix where we can kind of use those different seed types to give us a couple different characteristics as in the growing characteristics of that and with the soil. So we wanted to see if the cows would graze this and how well they'd graze it and how many tons it would make. Well, I think it's going to make a lot of tons, but you can see how they've been in here for about 30 hours, and they're kind of just selecting what they wanted to eat, which is what I wanted in this mix, because I want to see what this will do for my soil along with the grazing aspect of it. So there's 8 acres here. It's about 40,000 pounds of cattle in here, and so they're eating about 4 ton a day. And I think you could leave them in here for a long time. I'm going to pull them out and kind of let this stuff recharge a little bit. But I think for a mix, if you're looking at your soil health, if you're looking at a variety of seeds that's going to give you some different plant structures through the summer, this is a really good mix that you could put on your place to kind of fill all the gaps. I mean, you're going to have good grazing, you're going to have good quality, you're going to have good return nutrients back to the soil, and it just kind of does it all. So if it's something you're looking into, maybe grazing some summer annuals, look at this as you're looking at maybe a straight sorghum sudan or something like that. Look at this too, because it can fill a lot more gaps in your grazing program.
Well, let's talk about when you planted it, the amount of growth we've seen, and then how the cows have responded this first time being in this unit. So planting date was
June 14th.
Okay.
We started there. That was pretty well when we could probably start a couple weeks earlier than that, but that's when we could get the drill rented from the county. So
sometimes that's all you got to work with, right?
So, and by June 14th, it was really starting to dry up. So that was our biggest challenge. Was, all right, we got the drill, got the seed, we've got to get this stuff in the ground. So
certainly,
we blew it in here as fast as we could and put it as deep as we could because we were running out of moisture really quick.
Right.
And I think with that, we may have had some casualties putting it that deep with some of that smaller seeds, but but still, I think it did pretty good.
It came up still really pretty full and has filled in nicely, like you said, and that's the value though I think that we can draw to a blend in general itself is, sometimes each growing season's got to give you different curveballs that you've got to try and pivot around and work with. But a little bit later planting date, starting to see some dry weather coming in, you sunk the seed a little bit lower, so there's not a huge expression of the millet that's in the blend that we're seeing growing, but sorghum Sudan, the milo, the buckwheat, cowpeas.
The buckwheat really came on fast. It stayed short for a long time.
Yeah.
And then as soon, I think we got that shower on around 4th of July.
Yeah.
And it really, I mean, it's 3 foot tall now. It really came on
Exploded.
good.
We've got seeds, you know, that production of the seed head itself already, and some of the buckwheat, cowpeas, the soybeans. We're sitting right here, and this is thigh-high soybeans where we're looking at right now, and it's just pretty incredible. But you know what have you seen so far? There's a soybean planted
June 14th. That's 45 or so days of growth.
Yeah.
That's what's impressed me about this whole thing, is how well it's done. As dry as it was, it held on, and it came up thin, and that's where I think the mix really helped, because the proso millet came up weak, the cowpeas came up weak, but there was enough other, you know, variety in this mix that when it did get a shower here and there, it went ahead and filled those gaps. And you would never guess that this would ever been a thin stand, but it was pretty thin coming up. So just because it went in the dust, the sun just baked that ground and dried it out really fast, and I had a lot of seed just sitting there in the dust until we got another rain on it. So
from a usability standpoint, it's kind of, by having so many different species working together, you can utilize this blend for so many different things. But no doubt we're going to have a lot of growing season legumes for deer, so they're going to be in here foraging pretty heavily. And then the seed production, if we didn't terminate, would be very high for birds, doves. If you've got quail, they would come in here and forage in and among this stuff. But it's extremely versatile. We love growing this stuff. You were just talking about how, you know, it's kind of addicting to grow summer annual stuff, because there's so much growth and potential in a variety like this. So Heritage Blend, Stratton Seed Company, be sure to check it out, maybe, and try it on your place, see what it does. There's variances across the country too, as you'll see, soil types, growing conditions, planting times, growing degree days, the way this blend will express itself. Sometimes sunflowers may do better, or sometimes sun hemp may do better, and it can change year to year even on the same soil. So it's fun to plant and see what that growing season has for you in store for this blend itself. So be sure to check it out, guys. Maybe try it next year on your food plots.